Primordial Radio.
Max Cavalera, welcome to Primordial Radio. How are you today?
I'm great. Good to be talking to you. I think the whole experience of making this record was, for me, very special because I had the chance to work with both of my sons, actually, on the record. I remember the first Soulfly record. I wanted to capture tribal spirit of the Indian burial ground of the studio, so I buried all the tapes and we left them there 24 hours. There's a picture of Chino from the Deftones and he's holding a pick to a shovel.
Yeah, to dig it up.
That's the shovel that we used to dig the hole up, and Chino helped me bury the tapes, which is really cool. That was one show we did where I was there as roadie for Igor. I was doing roadie. Yeah. And Robert Trujillo was there with his kid, also as a roadie for his kid. So we connected. We're like, well, we're both here as roadies today,
That's
it was
brilliant.
It was incredible. That's a heavy riff. That'll be a cool song for Soulfly to cover.
Hello, it's Primordial Radio and on the radio residency. I'm delighted to be joined by one of the cornerstones of metal music. You will know his riffs, you will know the sound of his bands. Max Cavalera, welcome to Primordial Radio. How are you today?
I'm great. Good to be talking to you. How you doing?
I'm very happy to be talking to you and I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for asking. An exciting time for all things Soulfly. You've got a brand new album coming out at the end of October. The album is called Chama. And I heard you talking in an interview about it, saying that is it to do with a flame of inspiration? Is that correct?
So Chama in Portuguese means flame. It's a double meaning word, means flame, but also means calling somebody or calling a spirit,
Yeah.
I like, to me, represents more the flame.
Yeah.
More of that, you find your inner fire, you find it and you make it burn again, kind of like that. That's kind of like what inspired me to grab this name. But the actual name is actually, I'll tell you a little backstory. It was inspired by UFC fighter Alex Pereira, using one of my songs for his walk on music as he entered the UFC arena. It's Sorry. And watching that with my son Zyon, he's a big UFC fan. We watched it live and I lost my mind. I had goosebumps. It was great. It was like, holy crap, he's using one of my songs. This is incredible. And then he's embracing the whole, Brazilian indigenous culture, and it was really cool to see that. And that moment kind of sparked, the whole inspiration for the record. And Chama is kind of Alex's thing. He says that a lot, and it was kind of cool. Like it's kind of like a back and forth. Like he, we inspire him to fight through our song, and now he has inspired me to write music through his fighting. One inspired the other. It's cool. But yeah, I think to me it means with the album cover with the Apache warrior ceremony with the fire. To me, it's more like the flame, the Soulfly flame is burning again.
You don't strike me as a person who lacks flame in this respect. Obviously, the amount of albums that you've put out in your career, it's almost Frank Zappa-esque in sort of just being so prolific and putting out so much high quality, fantastic music. Was it Alex Pereira that got you in the studio for this, or what was the inspiration behind another Soulfly album, and especially one that sounds so sort of raw and aggressive, and it's modern but vintage at the same time? What really got you in there?
Well, working with Zyon on this record was really cool. This is the album where me and him really connected on a really kind of primal level. Like we really wanted to do something together that was something like meaningful and really with a lot of feeling, a lot of passion, and a lot of like inspire. When you create something that you are very inspired, inspiration is a strange thing. Making just so many records, as you said, that I've done, I have to say I was not inspired like I was in Chama on all of them. I've been very honest right now. Some of them I have been less inspired, and some of them, for some reason, you're more inspired. It's like, it's just how it is. It's difficult to explain, but you can never take for granted inspiration, man, because I think it's a divine thing. It's almost like a spiritual thing. And if you receive that, you have to accept it. You have to accept it and say, thanks, I got it. Be very, don't take it for granted. It's not something that's going to happen all the time. But I think, Zyon producing the album, because to me, it was kind of like, I produced all the Soulfly records before, like Prophecy and Dark Ages. And I wanted to try something new. I wanted somebody to produce the album that was not a famous producer. I wanted somebody more like Zyon, actually, like a new blood, somebody that was very inspired, very hungry to get the most out of it, but also that was not it was not somebody that has done a million records where you feel kind of like spoiled, so it's kind of the opposite of that. So he was very into the whole production. And that's where all the fun of this record is really at. The amount of shit we did with pedals. After I made the riff, we had all this noisy shit on top of it and just stacked on top of it throughout the whole record, man. It's like, we're going to release some of those later in videos because we record the whole session, a lot of cool video sessions that we did. And it was crazy, like just playing the riff again, but this time with all the fucking noisy pedals and you add all that. And especially if you listen to Chama in headphones, it's a really cool sonic experience. It's a trip.
I can agree. I mean, I've been listening to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the work of Zyon mix Arthur Rizek, the mixer. It's a good combo.
I listen to music when running. That's like my favorite thing because, you can pop your headphones in and you're kind of really like, you're not really focusing on anything other than the music. And also you're having a body experience, your energy and certain music connects better than others. This album gave me so much energy running. I absolutely loved it. It was a sonic experience.
I like that.
One of the things I love most about it was it's very, the riffs are big, everything is modern. I find a lot of modern metal's quite formulaic, especially in the production. You've got your sort of almost like identikit triggered drums in a lot of metal albums. It didn't sound like this here. It sounded raw and kind of vintage. Like some of the reverbs that were coming on the drums sounded, big and analog and, or natural as well. Adding that as well with the sort of the more tribal, Brazilian drum feel to it. Like, I mean, you've already mentioned about the pedals and stuff. Were you all live in the studio? I mean, it didn't sound like sort of a click track, multi-tracked recording.
No, we didn't use click at all. It was like forbidden. I forbid Zyon to touch the click track. The problem with click track, producers and mixers, engineers, they love them. Why? They make everything perfect. Now, perfect doesn't necessarily mean good, in my opinion. I like imperfect. Imperfections are beautiful. If you can capture something imperfect and make it amazing, that's like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm into it. I'm into capturing this experience, lightning in a bottle moments. So when you remove the click track entirely out of the record, the way we did it, it's more of a nightmare for whoever's going to mix it. And it's more of a nightmare for the guy engineering the record. But it's like more fun for us, and the album
it focuses on performance, doesn't it? It's not just about, we can fix it later.
Yeah, you have to be on your shit. You got to be on it. You can't fuck around. The riffs got to connect with the drums, and it's got to be like just like it was back in the day when we record analog records. Yeah. And that's what makes it cool. I think to me, even creating the intro of the album, which is Indigenous Inquisition. very experimental track, you know, like I was messing around with tuning, and this thing is tuned all the way down to the lower pretty much you can get your guitar to go down to. So it's a whole step. I'm going to get very nerdy now with guitar.
Go for it. That's what I love to do. So talk to me about it.
So it's it's a step down all the way back to E, but the lowest that you can get, you know?
Yeah.
And I was very, you know, it was difficult to record because it was difficult to keep the guitar in tune because it was so low. The strings were literally vibrating like this, you know? But it was so fucking primal and heavy. And we were hitting those ching, 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 ching. Those chords are shaking. The whole room is shaking. And then, you put all the noise pedals on top of it. And then Arthur add some other, electronic noises on top of it. So it's kind of like, I call it tribal technology. I think that's what it is. Cause it's like you have the tribal world and you have technology together and they're both coexisting in the same song. That was really fun. I mean, the whole recording was very adventurous like that. We did many things, throughout the whole record. That came out like that we didn't, you know, we had the riff ready, but we kept messing with it until we got something different out of it, out of the take, out of the performance. Not settling for the first thing. We always like try to make it better somehow. And that was the case with the vocals. I kept re-singing. I came back and redid it. I didn't like the first take. I go back and do another take. And then, you know, it was cool. We had a lot of really cool guests on the album as well. Just to kind of go back to the first Soulfly record. So those are sort of things were like more, things that were, more connected to the early Soulfly, having a lot of guests. The percussion, Zyon did all the percussion on the record. I wasn't there when he did the percussion because I went on tour and he had to finish the record. And so he did all the percussion by himself. And I think it came out amazing, especially on Storm the Gates. You can really hear the congos in the background going off, you know. It's cool. It's got that Brazilian, real tribal groove in it, you know.
It's just, I know I keep going back to this. It's just so nice to hear that in metal, like an additional percussive element that isn't just, you know, very aggressive, fast attack on a snare drum or something that's dominating. It just sounds huge. And it's do you know what? It's so exciting to hear you talking about the album, big smile on your face. You know, anyone who's not watching on YouTube, you've got a massive smile on your face talking about the processes of it. Where does this rank in your personal history of any record you've done? It sounds like, you know, you rate it very highly.
I think the whole experience of making this record was, for me, very special because I had the chance to work with both of my sons actually on the record. Igor Amadeus ended up playing bass in a bunch of tracks. And he wrote the story that goes inside the Chama CD, which is the story of Chama. Chama, it's a fictional character. He's a little boy that grows up in the favelas, in the ghettos of Rio. And then, you know, finds his way to the jungle and his life changes completely once he meets the tribal people. You know, it's a cool story, like a little thing. So working with both of them, on a high level album that felt really, that we were firing on all cylinders. And, but just by that on itself, I already, would rank this album like an incredible experience for a dad. If you're a father, you would know what I'm talking about. This is like a dream come true type of experience, you know, like when they were born, I would never, not in my more wild dreams, think one day I would have both of them helping me make a record, you know?
I wanted to ask you about this.
Like accepting the help too, not being afraid, being a very experienced musician the way I am. I don't know everything. I'm willing to learn, you know. I'm willing to tell them, teach me. I want to learn some shit. You guys are the future, you know. You guys got the, you know a lot about other stuff. So that kind of experience was priceless. So I rank this album very high on the amount of there was a lot of pressure, but also a lot of fun making the record. And those are the best record when you can combine anxiety and fun. You know, it doesn't sound like a good combination, but it is, because that's exactly what happens when we go play live. There's anxiety and fun.
It's being on the edge, isn't it? Not safe, not comfortable, being on the edge.
No, it's right there on the edge, man. It's fun. It's like, but it's anxiety, it's nervousness. You know, you don't know what's gonna happen to the record. But that's what makes it cool. Makes it, to me, it's like, it's living, you know, you're living in the moment.
So we'll, throughout this residency interview, we'll come back, we'll talk about Chama, we'll talk about Soulfly. I'm going to ask you a piece of advice, because as you just mentioned, you've got your sons playing on this album. I think Zion's something like 2 weeks younger than me. So, you're familiar with someone my age. I became a dad 6 weeks ago for the first time.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's a very exciting time. I always wonder, how do you get children into heavy music? How did it go for you? Like, what was the experience? Did you push it on them? Did they just follow it because it was what dad was doing, or?
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. You can't really force it, because I think if you force it, it might backfire on you, and they might rebel and be like totally opposite. They'll become like jazz freaks, or into just pop music or hip hop, or but I think in the case of Zyon and Igor specifically, I think it was the way they were brought up, because we took them on tour from the very early age, on all the tours. Pretty much they came with me. I didn't want to like leave them at home a lot of time. There was sometimes that they stay home because they had school, but a lot of times we took them on tour. So there was like huge memories of them like sleeping on guitar cases with Ozzy singing in the background, during the bunch of Ozfests, and meeting all these musicians, and so they're in this life, I think it's kind of like, similar to like a football player or a soccer player or a UFC fighter, that the dad is a famous, athlete, and the kid growing up in this environment is gonna rub it in the kid, because he's around that for the whole experience. So Zion sat behind many great drummers, Roy Mayorga, my brother, Joe Nunes, and even B Ward. We did a Sabbath tour where Zion got to sit right behind B Ward for like some of the like 5 shows. All of that rub it in them, and then it was just a matter of me having the patience for them to become good musicians themselves. So when I can actually like start playing with them on a level that I can do it, and then they start surprising you how good they are. They start surpassing you, it's like, that's like really cool, man. Like once it clicks, and that was always like my dream, was like, it would be so cool to, if I could just get on my car and hit up my sons, let's go jam, let's go make, because that's always been my thing, like the jamming is always been this, it's not an escape from the normal world, but kind of it is, because you go into a different stratosphere when you're jamming. You're in a different planet. You're in a different planet. Like I lose myself in the jams. And then, doing that with them became like this really cool thing, but never force. I never, There was even a time where they like a lot of, Zion is still a big hip hop fan. He likes a lot of newer hip hop, and which is, I think, is really cool, because he gives him different ideas about music as well. And Zyon was always more classic metal. He liked Sabbath, Zeppelin, Bad Brains, Deftones. Just lately, he's starting to listen to heavier stuff like Body Box and 200 Stab Wounds. But and then Igor was more like me, more into the extreme shit. You know, he was always into the whole Entomb and Doom, Extreme Noise Terror, all the crusty shit. So it was kind of cool. I had two very different kids, one that's like the extreme metal and Zion's more classic, and I vibe with both of them. And that was really interesting. Cause it's different between what I talk about with Igor is more extreme stuff that I can really talk with Zyon. But Zyon is cool because I love the classic stuff as well. I grew up on Sabbath and Maiden and Priest and all that, So yeah, but you can't force it. I never force it. And I never really, sat with them and really taught them how to play the instrument either. They learned that on their own. Which is, I think that's even cooler because you have to kind of learn that on your own. Like I give you a couple of tips, but that was about it. Like let them figure out themselves,
And how proud were you when it came together with Lodi Kong? I'm a really big fan of that album, Dreams and Visions, that they did.
Yeah.
It was put out on Mascot Records. How proud were you when that happened?
Super proud. It's been one of the proudest moments. Has been watching them and their bands. Before Lodi Kong, there was actually one called Mode Breaker. Mode Breaker was fucking nuts because they would break all their instruments. Hence the name Mode Breaker. Yeah. They were literally destroy the instruments after every concert. And I'll be like, me and Gloria will go to the show and I watch them destroy this really cool guitar and really nice drum kits just gets obliterated. And then, of course, we took Lodi Kong on tour with us. I think it was the Nail Bomb tour a couple of years ago. Yeah. And always super proud, man. It was cool to see them doing their thing, finally. Even Igor, doing Healing Magic. We had Healing Magic open for Cavalera in Europe. And watching them from the balcony, I think it was like Liverpool or Birmingham, one of the shows. I was in the balcony. Yeah. And I had the goosebumps, Igor was like jamming hard, hitting the guitar super aggressive. And it's one of those moments you become super proud, That was one show we did on the Navajo, reservation here in Tuba City where I was there as roadie for Igor. I was doing roadie. And Robert Trujillo was there with his kid also as a roadie for his kid. So we connected. We're like, well, we're both here as roadies today,
That's
it was
brilliant.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was incredible. It was like, both of us are in big bands and we toured the world, but that day we're road dogs. We were roading for our kids and we're carrying amplifiers and setting up pedals and shit. It was a fantastic experience.
We've got so much to talk about because we always like to talk on these radio residencies about some inspirational tracks. And I want to actually start with a gig. And I was really surprised when I got back this answer. And I'm really happy you did it because we've got some talking points. A track from the artist you most regret never seeing. You've picked New Model Army and Winter.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have expected that. Tell me why. And firstly, they started that album with big, low, I think it was bass guitar, wasn't it? Big, low strung bass tracks, sort of not similar to the new Soulfly record, but,
right.
But they're similar a little bit.
Always been a big New Model Army fan since the 80s. We listened to them on all the Sepultura tours. Was kind of like it was kind of like a to-go. It was like a favorite of us and a lot of the crew guys. So in a lot of the traveling days, we put New Model Army when we're traveling in front of the bus with the highway and we're going through Europe, and we're going to the landscape of France and Switzerland and, listen to amazing New Model Army tracks, because the discography is amazing. But the reason I picked that because I never got to see New Model Army, and my stepson, Gloria's son, Dana, before he passed away in '96, he saw New Model Army, and he told me how amazing it was. He told it was like a life-changing experience. It was almost like a religious experience, watching New Model Army live. And I always remember that, and I never got to see them. Of course, we covered The Hunt on Chaos AD, which we are doing now in America. We're starting that tour in 2 days. It's one of those bands. They never gave up, No. They never became massive, but they never also just stopped playing. They just kept doing their thing and always making great. And when Winter came out, to me, it was a great surprise because it was such a good record for a band that's been. It kind of, it's in many ways it's similar to my own story. Like you managed to make a strong record after all these years. That's impressive. That's cool. That's something to be proud of it. And I had to pick New Model Army because of that. And I love the music. Honestly, outside of metal is one of my favorite bands that I listen to, especially when we're traveling.
Well, funnily enough, I used to tour with a band called Willie and the Bandits. The drummer, Andy, he was a drummer at the time, massive, all things Cavalera fan. And we were supporting New Model Army on that winter tour. So I've seen that. I've seen them play that set 10, 15 times. It was a lot, and it was fantastic.
I'm very envious. I'm very envious around.
But as you say, that really good down-to-earth band, they still do tour. I'd recommend it if you get a chance at any stage. I don't know if they're coming to the US.
Yeah, I don't think they come here very often. I know they pack Europe, right? They always they pack the houses in Europe. They tour a lot, and it's just they're one of those kind of cult bands. It feels very very special. They have something special with their audience that's really cool. Very unique, man. And I regret never got to see them. Maybe one of these days I still have a chance to play with them in a festival or something. That would be really cool to get to see them play live.
I actually want to go now to sticking on gigs, because again, in that tour van, in my experience, I was introduced to Faith No More, and you've picked a track from an artist who played the best gig you've ever seen, Faith No More, Land of Sunshine. Tell me about it.
So that was Brazil in the 90s. Faith No More, we met at Rock in Rio. We did the Rock in Rio festival together, and we became big friends. Billy, the bass player, was a big Sepultura fan. He wore the Sepultura shirts on a lot of their videos. Mike also was a big fan. And then we became really good friends, and they came to Brazil. I was there at that time, and they were supporting Angel Dust, and they play in this place. I think it's called Olympia. It's a 4,000 venue, so it was sold out. Early in the day, me and Mike wanted to know about Brazilian, the spiritual world of Brazil, especially like my mom's religion was called Candomblé. It's very famous in Brazil. It's a bit like Santeria type stuff. Right. Anyway, they have this character in Candomblé that wears a white suit with a cane and a white hat, and Mike wanted to buy the whole outfit so he could perform with that. So I took him to the place, me and him went there, and he bought the outfit, and man, he wore that night or that show, and it was one of the most incredible. This is why this show to me is always it sticks out as the one show that I was just totally like, it was like speechless. It was like watching something from another planet. When Mike came in, the band came in firing up, but Mike had the whole outfit, the white suit, the cane, the hat, almost like a sorcerer, you know? It was like, you know, there was like, there's definitely magic involved in that performance, and supernatural forces were around, the whole show. But it was you know, and then 4,000 people going fucking nuts on every song, you know, jumping and singing every word. And Angel Dust is still one of my favorite records of all time, you know, like it's a brilliant record. I love it. I think it's so underrated, actually, because it's such a good record, you know.
It's one of a kind, isn't it? I've never heard anything else like it.
Yeah, I don't think they tried to replicate Epic, the Real Thing. Remember, they had the Real Thing with the big hit. Yeah. They didn't try to replicate that. They went to do something different, and they did their own thing, and that became Angel Dust. And I think is a really cool fucking record, like very unique all the way through. And I always thought Fate No More was a unique band anyway, with the keyboards, the guitar playing was exotic, from Patton's voice, amazing, you know. All of that together, really kind of like made them stand out as especially from the era of the 90s, the kind of like the beginning of alternative metal, you know. With, you know, them and Tool and you know, Nine Inch Nails, Ministry felt different at that time, and I got to see that show in particular because of Mike Patton. It stood out to me as one of the most incredible things I ever seen. It was just totally very, very close to supernatural experience, you know, and it was not a regular, just another show. It was something else. I was witnessing something very special, very, very, very unique.
Obviously, the last tour they did, the Sol Invictus tour, all white suits. Was that? Do you think that was anything harking to that? I'm not particularly familiar, but you obviously might know a bit more than me.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure Mike is, you know, told them about it, and they went on that direction, you know, which I think is really cool. But that particular night in São Paulo at the Olympia with the sold out show, and then, you know, the whole thing about me and him earlier in the day went and bought all that stuff together, and he uses at the show. It was it was cool, man. It was fucking amazing.
I've never had a chance to see them. You know, I don't know if there will be a chance anymore, to be really honest. You know, it sort of seems like maybe it might be a closed chapter. I hope not. But yeah, it would be delightful. And they are just such a unique band, album to album. Each album's different, but you can hear the tonality of each individual part stays the same. It's quite strange. You know, you can always identify Billy on bass, Mike on the drums, just the way he hits the drums as well. Like, you can tell, but the album's just so different. I love it. I absolutely love them.
Yeah, and that time was still with Jim on guitar, and I always was a big fan of Jim Martin. I think it was very unique on the way he looked and the way he played was very unique, you know. Again, every person on that band had his own very expression, very strong, you know, and very great musicians, you know, like as far as like a musician band, they're kind of like one of those that, you know, everybody is really good in their instrument. You know, it's cool to see that.
100%. Now, I want to take it a little bit back to Soulfly. You're on camera now. I can see guitar pick in hand. How do you keep riffs? Like, how do you keep riff fresh? What is the riff inspiration? Like, how do you get that? Are you the sort that has a guitar strapped around his neck all day, every day? Do you play lots? Oh, there we go. He's bringing out one now. Oh, gorgeous.
That's a LTD ESP.
Oh, okay. That's a Max Cavalera ESP Brazilian
Reaper with the Palmeiras.
Gorgeous. That's
my soccer team in Brazil.
Palmeiras. Okay. We don't in England get enough. I'm a massive football fan. I absolutely love it. And seeing at the Club World Cup, a lot of the South American sort of teams and that sort of thing, we don't get enough of it in the UK. So I'm very interested in that. Let's go back to guitar playing. Actually, maybe we skip the football for now.
All right. I have the guitar plugged in. I was actually practicing a little bit of Chaos. Like I say, I'm going on tour in 2 days.
Yeah.
On the Chaos AD American tour kicks on. We have like a couple festivals first, but yeah, I think just rehearsing. I left it plugged in. Anytime I have the chance to sit down with the guitar, I'll just always strum something, and that's what's cool. You never know what's gonna come out. You might find that golden riff might be there, and then if it is, record it, because you forget later. Tips to all guitar players out there: when you make a riff that you really like it, do not say, I'll do it, I record it later. Like, don't make that mistake. You will forget. Record it right away on the phone, on
That's
anything that you have. Anything.
Are you like Kirk Hammett? He's got like an iPhone full of, famously, because he lost one, didn't he? An iPhone full of riffs. Are you always on the voice memos?
Yeah, I actually, I always ask my wife. Actually, she has a really good iPhone. It's like, here, record this riff and save it for later. Put on a Max file, and later on I'll ask you about it. Because that's kind of like, you never know, like, when you're gonna need a really cool riff, and sometimes they come out of nowhere. I remember, one of the riffs of this of the new record, it's "Storm the Gates," which is the song that we dropped.
Yeah, that's the lead single.
That actual riff, it was kind of funny. I wake up. I think I jam with the riff. I wake up and the riff was there, and I grabbed the guitar, and the riff came out. And it's like, killer. If that happens, it's a good day. Whenever that happens.
I've only ever heard of that with was it Paul McCartney who dreamt? Was it Yesterday? I can't remember. One of the Beatles songs. He dreamt, and he got up and recorded it straight away. Like, how conscious are you then when you're feeling it? Like, it's an interesting phenomenon.
Riff is a crazy thing. I mean, there's a great story about a riff that I didn't have it, and I was in the studio and I was messing with it. It was the opening riff of "Jump the Fuck Up," which is the song we did with Corey. And I had half of the riff, but it wasn't there yet, and I struggled for like 3 hours with the guitar trying to get the riff will not come out. So finally I had enough, and I grabbed the guitar, I went in the backyard, and I smashed the guitar in pieces. Just total frustration, right? Like, completely melt down. Like, almost like the whole thing about something like you gotta destroy in order to build something. You have to tear it down first. You have to completely annihilate it first. Yeah. And then so I broke the guitar. I went in the backyard, fucking, in the back of the studio, fucking destroyed the guitar, pieces everywhere. Grab another guitar, came back in the studio, and then the first time that I tried the riff came out.
Amazing.
So it was like this. It had to be part of this whole ritual for the riff to come out. But it's great because now it's immortalized forever in a really cool song that's one of Soulfly's biggest songs. And I'm glad that I didn't settle for the first time I was playing, because the riff wasn't quite there yet. Yeah. We had to go to the destruction phase. I'm not saying you have to like grab a guitar and destroy a guitar to get a riff, I'm not advocating for that, but no. Sometimes art needs brutality.
Oh, definitely.
In order to survive, and pain and anxiety.
I've heard about this, your pain through your singing, and you punch yourself in the studio to try and feel the pain as you're recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm personally, I'm probably a little bit weaker than that. That wouldn't help me. I've heard of Randy Blythe does the running around the street and coming back and he's like exasperated. That might be more my thing. Like, when did you first do that? When did that become a thing for you in your vocal recordings?
I think it started without even notice, early era, Chaos AD era, maybe. I think it went on a little bit on Roots, but it picked up heavily on Soulfly 1 and then continue on Primitive. But then I think the record I remember the most was actually Soulfly 3, because I did the song Downstroy, and on Downstroy I really hit it hard, and I remember the next day there was like, I had actually purple marks on my chest.
Bruising. Oof.
Bruising, yeah. I was all bruised up. But I don't think it's that, to me, it doesn't feel that crazy. It feels part of the whole experience. I think to try to get it's a performance, right? And you're trying to record a performance, and you're trying to make it as live as possible. I remember watching videos of Ozzy where he would scratch himself, and he will bleed, and I had the chance to ask him about that. Why do you do that? And he told me it was to feel the goosebumps that you couldn't really feel naturally. You had to like scratch in order to get the goosebumps to come up. And I totally understand that now, because if you especially if you're playing live in front of thousands of people and you scratch yourself, you will get the goosebumps, they'll fucking come up. So all of that is part of being a entertainer, musician, and especially if you like me, I'm very, I guess I'm very open to the spiritual world and magic world and all those things, so I believe in all those things. And I believe that the performance with hitting is more real than if I'm just sitting there singing without anything, without any emotion. It's part of the emotion. It's part of the song. Even the pain is part of the process of the song, no pain equals no power, And then, there's many other things that I always like that are kind of kooky. Like, I remember the first Soulfly record. We record everything, and we had this big tapes because it was analog. Yeah. And we bury all the tapes the record was done in Malibu at Indigo Ranch, and it was a big mountain overlooking the ocean. But the owner of the property told me that was Indian burial ground 300 years ago. Yeah. So I wanted to capture the tribal spirit of the Indian burial ground of the studio. So I bury all the tapes, and we left them there 24 hours. That's why in the record, when you look at if you look at the Soulfly record, there's a picture of Chino from the Deftones, and he's holding a pick, like to a shovel. Yeah, to dig it up. That's the shovel that we use to dig the hole up, and Chino helped me bury the tapes, which is really cool. And I believe that, to me, it's why the Soulfly first record was successful, and it was, so cool. So, I believe that the burying was very, very, very important. Maybe it's nothing for other people. They might look at this and, they might, this is nothing. This guy's crazy. But, it's to each their own thing,
100%. And analog recordings, like I used to research lots about like analog versus digital, why vinyl has this special element to it. And a lot of it's because of, we are capturing frequencies that you can't actually hear that we don't replicate with digital. That's why vinyl can have that like sonic effect on us. And, anything can add to these things. I love it. I think it's fantastic. And it's, it's music. Music is energy, isn't it? And if you're adding extra energies and capturing it, I find it. I find it fascinating.
It's all energy, and if you're open to the the possibility that there is, supernatural involved in music, which I believe there is, because I believe music does something to people that it does something, it creates a response. It creates an emotion.
Yeah.
And you really can't explain why it does that. I don't know why, but it does. It does it with me when I listen to other people's music, sometimes my own music. And that, to me, that's the supernatural thing about music. And that's why I think, you can study all you want, but sometimes I don't think you can actually understand maybe the mystic of the music. It's never meant to be fully understood. It's meant to stay sacred, and that's the beauty of it, I think,
I look back at the early Black Sabbath and, they were going and recording in haunted locations and stuff like that. And that, helped create some of it's just unexplainable, isn't it? And it's also, there's so much to it.
Yeah, it's cool. We can talk about that for 10 hours.
I'm disappointed we're not going to get to touch on soccer. I've already been, trying to rack my brains if my team Reading has ever had a player from Palmeiras, but I don't think we have. So, but we'll move on. I want to talk about an artist who inspired you growing up. And again, guitar behind you, Eddie Van Halen. You picked a track, On Fire. Talk to me about Van Halen, because it's probably not the obvious guitar player that you'd associate with the Max Cavalera sound. So tell me about your relationship with Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, I mean, I was a huge Van Halen fan growing up in Brazil. The first show me and Igor saw was Queen. That became like the gateway band. But after that, we started discovering other bands, and we discovered Kiss and AC/DC. And then when I discovered Van Halen, I went all in. I had a Van Halen book of pictures I used to buy in magazines, and I had like a whole book of photos of Van Halen. I used to buy a lot of Van Halen bootleg cassettes of live shows. I love the live versions of the Van Halen cassettes, all the real live recordings, like real shitty. They sound like dog shit. But you hear the real band playing, like they were so good live. I've seen, I read the Ozzy book and the Tony Iommi book where they talk about Van Halen blowing them off on the stage in 1979 or 1980, or Black Sabbath was on the way down, Van Halen was on the way up. Yeah, and Van Halen opened the Sabbath tour and fucking demolished them, which is crazy. But I love about Eddie Van Halen is the music in him. He was a virtuoso guitar player. I think he was like the Mozart of guitar. In many ways, I think I compare him with Mozart or Beethoven of this generation, but of a guitar. But also, he was a great, songwriter. The songs are great. Yeah. Listen to the first 5 records; those are perfect records. There's nothing you want to change. And of course, I listened to afterwards with after David Lee Roth, and is to me not the same. I still like Eddie, but I like more with David Lee Roth, of course. But he was always, although I could not do any of those things tapping, that he does. Yeah, I cannot do any of that. I never even attempted to try it. But I'm in the awe of the musicianship, so that was a big influence for me. I was a big fan of Van Halen. I love the whole band and especially Eddie, like great songwriter.
An incredible, it's difficult to blend virtuosity into good songwriting, especially with guitar playing. Some guitar players, the songs are about the solos, whereas the solos in Van Halen always fitted the songs, and it's perfect.
Right. He knew how to separate, and he knew how to make it sure that it's not just, look at me, I'm great. Yeah. But more like, this is a great song. Like, I think, when you listen to the song Jump, which was like even keyboards, he was adding keyboards to the thing. That's a great fucking song, man. You know, it's just an incredible song. I pick I'm on Fire because that's like the old school of Van Halen, the first record. And it's such a heavy song, you know, that bam, 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 bam. Yeah, that's a heavy riff, by the way. The beginning is so fucking heavy. That'll be a cool song for Soulfly to cover.
No, well, you got to make it happen. I like the call out for
I'm on
Queen
Fire.
as well.
I'm on Chama. There you go.
Yes.
I'm on Fire.
Oh, come on. That you could open the show with it. You know, you could have that just coming on the PA system as you walk out. You know, there's all the options.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like the shout out for Queen as well. Another band who, you know, they were inspirational to me growing up. In fact, my mum was a massive Queen fan, so I was brought up on Brian May. You know, she wanted me to learn classical guitar before. And they've got some heavy tracks as well. I love that about, you know, bands who you don't particularly associate as being heavy. You know, Fat Bottom Girls is like one of the biggest riffs. You know, it's a metal riff, isn't it? Drop D, gorgeous.
And Queen, I'm glad that Queen was my first big concert that I saw. It was like, it's cool. It's almost like I wear that as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Being the first thing I was exposed to as a kid. And then from that on, it just got gradually heavier and heavier and extreme and more extreme and more extreme. But the gateway drug was Queen, you know?
I mean, we got to talk about a few more things, but firstly, before we go on to some other stuff, I want to talk about the last track that you really got into, and you've gone for Turnstile. Mm-hmm. How do you discover new music? Are you being handed it on CD? Is one of your sons playing it to you? Or are you a Spotify user, that kind of thing?
Yeah, all of it. You know, I listen to Spotify a lot. I also do a lot of research on, you know, if I like a band, I'll buy their CD. And then I still look at the credits and who they thank. And you find other bands on the thanks list of this band. That's what we did back in the 80s that we're still doing. My sons now show me a lot of bands and you know, like a lot of newer stuff like Goetia and Blood Monolith, and even the UK band I really like, Celestial Sanctuary. I discovered them not too while ago. I'm very, very into a lot of the underground scene, but Turnstile, it was cool because it was like I think I bumped into them by accident on Spotify somewhere. I listened to one track. And it reminded me of Bad Brains, and I was like, wow, this is strange. I gotta go listen to this more. And I went into the whole record and I found all these songs that sounded like Bad Brains, especially Eye Against Eye era. Like the melodic guitar, you know, and I became a little bit obsessed with them. So I watch a lot of videos of them playing live, and I really like the Glow on record, Never Enough, you know. I know they got a lot of older records, but I think it's really a really cool blend of you know, of hardcore punk Bad Brains style, almost like they carry on what the Bad Brains did. They're taking it to the future, you know, and I really like that.
As someone whose career has spanned the sort of transition from physical into digital, do you think Spotify and streaming platforms, are they a good thing?
I think they're not that good for the artist because they really don't get paid much from it. But as far as a music fan, they're great, right? You can find all the music that you want on a fingertip, you know, and that's the difference between now and back in the day. Back in the day, we had, I had a collection of records. You know, I kind of had maybe 50 records that I own. Those were my favorite 50 records that I listened to nonstop, you know. Now you can get 5 million records in one day. You know?
The touch of a button.
There's too much choice. It's almost like impossible to hear everything. It's a little bit crazy. It's a little bit too much. I think the the attention span of the fan is shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Yeah. People just listen to like a couple seconds and skip or whatever. Nobody even stays with the record. But yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a really good tool, to discover music, you know, like I like, you know, I go to Bandcamp, I go to Spotify, but the thing I do, if I really like a band, I go and buy the record, you know, that's what I like to do. Yeah. Cause I think
that should be the message, shouldn't it? You know, you can stream as much as you want, but back your
stream. But then if you really like the band, buy it. So you're supporting the band that you like, so they don't break up because nobody buys their shit, you know?
Exactly that. It's really interesting. I was really interested to get your take on it because of, you know, because you've seen it, you've seen the transition, which is really important. I cannot not touch on the Iggy Fund. I'm a type 1 diabetic myself. Tell us about that, and tell the listeners of Primordial Radio what the Iggy Fund is.
Well, Iggy Fund, it's actually not my idea. It's created by my wife Gloria, and it was our son Igor was diagnosed with diabetes type 1 right after we made Soulfly 1, the first record. And we decided to make a fund where we use our platform as musicians and entertainers to help make a fund that will help all the donation, all the money goes straight to the poor families that can afford the medicines, you know? Yeah. And so Gloria got together with the Phoenix Children's Hospital. They created a fund. I've been there a bunch of times, meeting a bunch of diabetic kids. A bunch of them were fans, so that was really cool. I think it's great, man. You know, every time we play in Phoenix, we put $1 of the show. It goes straight to them, you know. As musicians, I think it's a little thing that we do that helps a lot, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I can't take credit. It's not my idea. I support 100%. I love the fact that we do that. I think it's great karma. I think the more good you do, the more good things will come to you. I'm that kind of person. I believe in that you know, the karma of the universe. The more good you put out there, more good you received. More shit you put out there, more shit you're gonna receive, you know. That kind of mentality, you know. So by that, I think it's a great fun. Gloria does that with the hospital people, and they're great. And we have many beautiful letters from the families that have helped them you know, afford medicines, which is very expensive, especially now with everything the craziness that's going on here in America now with all the politics and the medicines and everything getting cut off, and it's horrible, you know.
I mean, that's so bad karma, you know. Let's hope that the karmic rules work on that.
Yeah, the fund's really good. We actually have a show, a Cavalera show at the Marquee Theater, where we're doing the dollar thing again. Yeah, that all that money goes to the families, and it's great. I think the fund's been going out for 28 years, and it's pretty incredible, you know, to have a run that long too.
Amazing. It's as a diabetic myself, I just wanted to mention it because I think it's a fantastic thing that Gloria does, and yourself as well.
And Igor, you know, we've been through everything with him since he was little with the diabetes, from having really hard times where he almost passed out from the insulin, you know, adjusting to counting carbs and finger pokes. You know all that as a diabetic. I mean, you are.
These CGMs now are like, they make life so much easier for diabetics. Yeah, and it's brilliant. The tech
he doesn't have that yet. He hasn't tried that yet. But we're trying to get him on the pump. See if you like that, because I heard it's really good. You know, and hopefully he will eventually will get on that. Because he's still doing all the manual finger pokes and everything like that. But he does really good, man. He takes seriously. He takes care of himself. He's a beast live. He's killing it with Cavalera, with playing the bass on the Chaos AD tour. It's been so much fun practicing Chaos AD with Igor. Like he comes here to the house and we just jam right here in the living room.
Yeah.
And Gloria sometimes posts these videos on Instagram, and it's cool because it looks like a school project. You know, it looks like we're a bunch of kids doing school art project. You know, but we're actually playing a real big album, but we're just doing it in our living room. Nothing special, no effects, no gimmicks, just pure power of metal.
Well, the Chaos AD tour is taking place across October and September, end of September. As you said, you're kicking it off in a couple of days. The album Chama is coming out, Soulfly Chama, on the 25th of October. It's fantastic. It's intense. Just last word from you. Fans who, you know, give us a big sale, your elevator pitch for Chama. Sell us it in a sentence.
Yeah, I mean, this is to me, and I went in this album with a very state of mind of two things, like reconnect with the past of Soulfly, with the tribal grooves, but let's also go into the future with the with the noise and the heaviness and the stuff that I listen to. I think Chama captured both of that. It has the ability to connect with the power, the tribal groove, but also connects with modern extreme metal that's going on right now in the world. And I love that. And I think the record itself, to me, is a reflection of very influenced by Brazil, by Amazon, and by deserts of Arizona and New Mexico. So it's like, it's a very, very strange record, created very much inspired by the Brazil, the rainforest, Amazon, and desert lands, Apache warrior dancers and ceremonies in the desert. So it feels very cool to combine both of these worlds, Brazil and southwest of America deserts together. But yeah, I think to me, feels like a really new beginning for Soulfly. It's a breath of fresh air in Soulfly's discography. I think we needed that. And we needed a record that is definitely different from the last one. And it will propel Soulfly to the future.
It's a fantastic album. And thank you so much for talking about it and joining us here on Primordial Radio.
Thanks, man. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Primordial Radio.